and our DRS is stuck open. Guys, I cannot make this up. This race was literally cursed. Firstly, I just want to say thank you to all the guys who've been subscribing. We have grown like 4 subscribers in the past week, which is amazing considering this channel hasn't seen much growth in a while, so thank you for subscribing. So, welcome to F1 2021. Today we're back at our F2 to F1 career mode, on to qualifying of the Spielberg Grand Prix. This is a track that I absolutely love. Why? Because it is amazing. I just want to say, Azerbaijan is my top 5, certainly, but it's like the bottom of the top 5. This is at the top of my top 5. This is a track that I have had so many memories. I know the first sector I suck, second sector I'm aight, but third sector is where I make up all the time, because it seems like the AI back up, like they back out of the corners so early that I can just make a lot of time just by late braking. So looking at the top left of your screen, you can see that we're already provisional pole. Now, as we take that corner beautifully, are we gonna seal this as a pole position? I was very confident. I was so cocky going into this race. I was like, there's no way that I'm coming out here without a win. And we crossed the line to take P1.
Good job, mate. Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
Looking at the standings, we are first with 2 tenths. Behind us, we have Mick Schumacher and Schwartzman rounding up the top 3.
Here we are amidst the dense forest and rolling hills of Spielberg in Austria, just 2 hours out of Vienna. It's an amazing destination for the race today, and we're about to get started. Spielberg is a very short lap, one of the shortest we'll see in this Formula 2 championship. 7 rights and 3 lefts make up the 10 corners of the circuit. The left-hand kink of turn 2, leading into the uphill braking of turn 3, represents another overtake hotspot. As usual, I'm joined by our good friend Davide Valsecchi as we soak up the dramatic scenery. Do you think the drama will continue onto the track today, Davide?
Ciao Alex, I think we can guarantee that. Austria has always been a track that encourages the driver to overtake and attack. But it's a low grip surface. The drivers out there today will have to make sure that the tiny mistakes don't end up hurting them later in the race.
As we're now moments away from the offer, let's take a look at the grid order in which they'll start today's race. The captain lines up on pole position, and it's Mick Schumacher in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Schwartzman, Tsunoda, Marcus Armstrong, and Ticktum, Sato, Mazepin, Matsushita, Felipe Dragovic, Samaya, Piquet, Callum Ilott, and Giotto, Alesi, Markelot, Joe, and Jack Aitken, Deruvala, Delatraz, Galeo, and Roy Nissany completes the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
So we are on track for the first event of the weekend. This is the feature race. Now, going into this, I was on pole, so I was confident that if I just get a good start, I'm going to hold it up till the end and win this race. It's only 10 laps, right? So it's lights out and away we go. We get a good start. Schumacher gets a better start off the line, but we do manage to cover him off down into turn 1. As you can see him on our right, we leave him space because, you know, we're good people who leave people space. But coming up, we're already into P1, 6 tenths in front of him at the end of lap 1. Now, this is a track that, let me just be honest, I dominated the entire feature race. There was no overtakes from me. I set the fastest lap going into lap 2. Schumacher behind me, 8 tenths already. Coming up to lap 3, you can see that we set another fastest lap. Schumacher still behind me, but now he's 1.4 seconds behind. Schwartzman behind him. As I get a bit of a moment there, but I managed to keep the car on track. Coming up into turn 3, just turn 3, turn 2. We do get another moment. Why? We were a little bit, you know, when you're leading the race for so long, you tend to fall asleep. So I was falling asleep in my mind, like I was so out of the zone. But coming up into the end of lap 5, we are still leading the race. We've led it for 6 laps. We've literally dominated as Guan Yu Zhou is out of the race as we get the warning right there. Coming up into the final corner, you look to your left, you see a wild Guan Yu Zhou. I'm sorry, sir, you can't park there. As we go into lap 9, lap 10 now, the final lap of the race. That was a quick feature race. Why? Because we had to fast forward most of it because we just dominated. I don't want you guys to sit through 10 minutes, 15 minutes of me just dominating the entire time. The sprint race is where it's at. So we do win the race, another win in the bag.
You've really been great today.
Thank you, Jeff. Another win in the bag. It meant nothing to me. I'm joking. It meant a lot to me because look, we got pole position. We got the win in the feature race. Are we going to get the win in the sprint race? The sprint race is what's coming next.
Competition here. The difference was in the strategy. Credit to the driver for sure, but races like this really drive home how much of a team sport this is. They did a lot of work on the pit wall to really make the most of each stint and to make the best use of these tires. But that said, all of that would have been for nothing without a talented hand on the wheel.
Podium, back on the podium, top step. Schumacher and his boy Schwartzman onto our left and right. Lift the trophy. Yes, we've won, bringing black supremacy back into F1. I don't mean to bring race into this. Call me Champagne Papi. That was funny. That was very funny. Right, coming on to the standings, we win.
The top of the championship has been cut down after a difficult race for our championship leader. Now then, Davide Valsecchi, who would you say was your driver? We've reversed the top 8 from yesterday's race to set the grid for the sprint race here today, and the drivers are almost ready on the grid down below. As we await the start of another hugely anticipated Formula 2 race, I'm joined again by Davide Valsecchi. Davide, as a former GP2 champion, can we get some insight to what is running through these young drivers' heads as they sit out on the grid?
Ciao Alex, it's a pleasure to be here. There are nervy moments, there is no doubts about that. Mental strength is the key to remaining calm and focusing on the upcoming race. Formula 2 is so competitive and all of these drivers knows that they are going to be pushing each other all of the way. In this sport, you have to be able to control your nerves.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, we are on the track
Okay, here we go.
for the sprint
I know what you
race.
can do. Don't let me down.
I'll try not to let you down, Jeff, but I don't promise anything. So we're starting P8 because it's reversed the top 8 of the feature race. And now we have 5 laps, ladies and gentlemen, and away we go, getting held up for a bit longer than we wanted to. We do get a phenomenal launch right off the start, making up places on Schumacher and Ticktum, who gets a horrible start. In front of us we have Schwartzman coming down into turn 1. We do get clipped from the back. You would not expect who we hit. Yep, ladies and gentlemen, we clipped Ticktum and ran into the man himself, Mick Schumacher. Literally, our championship rival is the person that we collided with. Guys, I could not script this any sort of way, but this just happened. So we do get sandwiched. No, actually, we sandwich Ticktum. We clip into Ticktum. Ticktum makes a spin. Schumacher holds us off from the crash, and we hit him, damaging our wing. Looking at the damage display, you see that we had a damaged floor and a damaged wing. Right off the start, ladies and gentlemen, that was a horrible start. Nothing we could have done to avoid that. Yes, those are all we could have done to avoid that. As we go down for the dive bomb on the Ruvula, getting past the Ruvula, going a little bit off track, but you can't blame me. Our car is damaged. Looking at the replay, the Ruvula really didn't expect that. We just went right in for the dive bomb. Our car is already damaged. There's nothing more that could happen. As we try to set up the overtake on Nissani, going down the inside, pushing him out of the track, out of the racing line, and we do get the move stuck. As in front of us now, we have Juan Huzhou setting up for the overtake on the penultimate turn, coming down the inside, and we do get the turn, pushing him off the racing line as well. We just dive bombs after dive bombs after dive bombs. I don't know, there's something about having a damaged car that makes you feel like you can do anything you want, because there's nothing that can lose. As we do set a purple sector 3, coming down into turn 3, we go down the inside of Galil, who came back on track to try and block us, which, I mean, let's just look at the replay. I'm coming down the inside, he moves, I have to move, and then coming down, he squeezes me, I make contact with his side. Luckily none of us had damage, but that was not a very clean move, Galil. As you can see, spots of rain starting to fall onto our wind, what is it called, our visor, and our DRS is stuck open. Guys, I cannot make this up. This race was literally cursed, right off the start, already crashing with Mick Schumacher, and then we get damage to our side pods. Our front wing is damaged. Then we get a DRS stuck open. I could not make this up, right? Now, do you think it gets worse? Yes, I'm about to show you that it literally gets worse. As we come into the pit, diving into the pit with a 3-second time penalty. First of all, we were hesitant to come into the pit. We were like, yo, should I come in or should I stay out and try and make this softs work? But this rain was dropping really fast. I was like, nah, alright, let's just go into the pit. I'm sure it's gonna be a double stack, which Codemasters needs to fix. There's an issue every time you go in for the double stack. You have to wait for longer than you have to. Like, you have to wait for so long compared to what your teammate had to do, right? It's like Codemasters hasn't synced in the aspect of a double stack. But our DRS is still open. We still have a damaged floor. Front wing, we opted not to change it because it was going to take a lot of time off our charge to the top 10. But looking at it now, we already have a 3-second time penalty. Our DRS is open. Like, this race cannot get any worse. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen. As we fast forward, you see that the rain dropped quite fast. A lot of it, as we're getting challenged by one Hugo. A wet track is literally my worst nightmare. I am not very good in the wet. As we come down for the final lap of the race, DRS still stuck open, wing still damaged. Could this get any worse? Now, these guys in front of me had not pit for the wet tires. As you can see that they're a bit very slow out of the exit, and that's because they had no grip. Now in front of us we have Aitken. Aitken loses his car. We try to avoid him, but we make contact. Why? First of all, we don't have the downforce to evade that. I mean, we could have slowed down, but I was just like, nah, I can make this. And then before we realized it was too late, I was already there. Right, as you can see from the replay, this is where I was like, you know what, let's just face the steering wheel frontwards. We hit him, hopefully stopping him from spinning. We're gonna take some damage, but it's the final lap, so it doesn't matter. You can see he loses his car completely, which he was lucky not to run into anyone else. Like, I avoided that heavily. The other cars behind me, they were just like on the margin. They were about to hit him as well. As we come up to the final turn, a wet Red Bull ring, the checkered flag is out. It is P16, a horrible turn of events in the sprint race. I mean, look, how do we come from dominating the feature race and then we suck in the sprint race? That was just bad luck. It was a cursed race. I mean, I couldn't script this anyhow. That was literally all part of the game. Like, the game had scripted this out already. I was just a passenger. So, the winners are the winners. I didn't even see who won, but I was very pissed coming into this. I was like, yo, we could have done so much better. You know, the thing is, we don't do replays here. We don't do flashbacks or restarts. If we get damage, we get damage. That's what we do. So we'll take it. Nothing more we can do. That was an amazing race nonetheless.
On the top step of the podium.
I kind of wish I was on the podium though, splashing the champagne in the rain. Could have been nice. Could have been nice. Oh, Mazepin was on the podium. That's interesting. On to the standings. Matsushita won the race, followed by Mazepin and Tsunoda. Looking at the standings, we are only 24 points behind Mick Schumacher. Schwartzman is a bit behind us with 37 points from the leader. In the championship for the teams, we are third. Now, looking at the replay, I had to get a second view on this because I did not understand what happened. I knew that I was in the wrong, but I knew that also TikTok could have contributed it towards less, right? So now looking on to the first turn of the race. Where am I? Oh yeah, so I swerve coming onto the left side of the track to get a good entry into the first turn. And then I get clipped by TikTok, or rather I clip TikTok, and I just run into it. Now from Schumacher's perspective, he was just a passenger, honestly. He was literally the innocent party in all of this. I ran into him. TikTok is the one who got sandwiched. I mean, he tried to squeeze in a place where he shouldn't have squeezed. But nonetheless, I should have been more cautious of my surroundings. That was just lack of situational awareness. Yeah, I sandwiched him pretty bad, pushing him into Schumacher. And then we formed like a triangle where I ran into Schumacher. I couldn't stop the car in time. TikTok did manage to get away without any sort of damage. But yeah, that was the start. That was the chaotic start. As you look from Dugovic's perspective, that was all my fault. But thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care and peace.